Technology brings us into the future, but our mindset decides how that future looks like. What is a mindset? A mindset is our inner attitude towards everything that comes our way. In the next 30 minutes, I want to help you explore your mindset and start developing an innovator's mindset that helps us to develop a better future. So let's start with curiosity. Who here in this room is interested how tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the next week, the next year, or the next 10 years look like? Please stand up. Fantastic. I'm glad that I'm amongst very curious people who want to know how the future looks like. You can sit down. I have some bad news for you. Actually, no one can predict what tomorrow, the next year, or the next 10 years look like. But I have some good news as well. We are all capable of shaping the future. And the best news I want to share with you is that it depends on our mindset, how that future looks like. And with the right mindset, we have the power to actually create a better future moving forward. But let's do some time travel. Back to 2019, to be more specific, March 2019. I remember that time very well. It was actually my middle son's birthday, March 16th, 2019, when we were not able to celebrate his birthday in a way that we used to. Throwing a kid's birthday party, which I love, we had to reimagine how we celebrate his birthday because a global pandemic was just announced by the WHO. And so everybody, starting from then, had to actually to reimagine not just how they celebrate their birthday, how we spend our life, how we work, live, play, even how we do vacation, how we get educated, how we shop. And some of you might have actually discovered your inner cook as well, as we all tried out new recipes as we were not able to go into restaurants anymore. At that time, we were basically thrown out of our safe place into a new world that looked very different. But who could expect that? Actually, everyone. Because nature's law is that everything is changing all the time. But at that time, things were changing dramatically fast. But everybody could have prepared themselves for that changing world. And I was talking to thousands and thousands of people before March 2019, asking them kindly to try to break their routines from time to time. Maybe go to a different restaurant next time. Maybe talk to a different person the next time. Or maybe take a different route to work. And people laughed at me, said, "Frederik, of course. But I love my favorite restaurant. I love talking amongst the people I know. And why should I go a different path to work?" March 2019, everybody knew why that was important. Because you can prepare yourself for change. You can actually get excited about it and do something with it. Again, it depends on your inner attitude towards everything that comes your way. And at that time, lots of things came our way. We had to educate our children in a different way. We had to work with our teams and lead our teams in different ways. So lots of things were changing. But we as human beings are not prepared for change because everyone in this room suffers from the status quo bias. That means that we always take the current situation that we are in as the preferred one. And when things are changing, we don't like it. So there's two forces working against each other, the status quo bias and that nature's law, everything is changing all the time. So what are we going to do? We need to start to reprogram our mindset. And let's start with one very important mindset. So everybody sees those 4 equations that I showed as well to thousands of people. And probably everyone in this room gets bothered by the third one. It just bothers us that there's a mistake, that 2 plus 4 is not 7, doesn't equal 7. But hey, 3 are actually correct. 75% are actually right on this slide. Great job, I would say. So it's our decision if we want to be part of the group of the right here that actually sees the glass half full, or we want to be part of the group on the left that sees the glass half empty. It's our choice if we show optimism that there's an opportunity or not. And we can choose that every situation in our life, every day. And trust me, it's not the naysayers, it's not the people who yell the loudest first that there's a mistake, and whenever a new idea, a new technology, a new process comes our way, we find the flaws and the mistakes first. It's the optimists who actually see an opportunity in every situation that shape a better future moving forward. So we choose, do we want to be optimists or not? And that negativity bias that was given in our evolution to us is basically trying to always point us to the mistakes first, the things that bother us. And in the past, when we still lived in the jungle and we were faced with a tiger and the mammoth in this world, it helped us to survive. But nowadays, it does not. But we still see in organizations that the people who yell the loudest that there is a mistake, that this would not work out, are getting the most attention. But we need to change that. So another dimension of this innovation mindset is curiosity, that you all demonstrated. You want to know how the future looks like. For me, the wildest questions can create the biggest opportunities. We need to start asking the right questions first before we look into ideas and solutions. And that is hard because we want to always know the answers and the solutions. We don't want to ask questions. But the innovators of this world, like little children or the other people that we all know, they ask the biggest questions and start to explore that question and look at that question from different perspectives. Questions like, what if we can launch a rocket and land the first stage of that rocket safely on the planet to refuel it in 24 hours and make space travel available to everyone? That's SpaceX. What if we can accelerate the transition to sustainable energy? That's Tesla. What if we can grow artificial meat so that we stop polluting the planet through animal farms? That's 2 startups, Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat, that are currently revolutionizing the meat industry. What if we can download the internet and make all the information available and accessible to everyone whenever they need it, wherever they are? That's our mission at Google, and Larry Page and Sergey Brin at Stanford University, 97, we're starting with that exact question. What if we produce 0 waste? Or what if we can turn all the old plastic into useful products moving forward? What if we can grow a building from a seed? That's some of the questions we explore at Google X. But there's more questions, like for example, what if students choose missions instead of majors? Or what if technology actually helps us to fight climate change? All of those questions inspire me, and hopefully you too. And I heard in the beginning that today we want to leave with some great ideas, but actually suggest that we start with some great questions that we want to ask, not just in this room, but let them get out into the world. So let's try an experiment. And I trust that I'm still amongst curious people who want to try something new. So get your phone out, and I want you to actually open up your favorite email client, whichever you choose, and I want you to start composing an email. In the subject line, trust me, it's going to be great, so get your phones out. In the subject line, I want you to put very simple, what if? And then the email should consist a question that you're curious about. You don't have to have the answer or a solution or an idea, just something that you feel might be interesting to hopefully solve in the next couple of years. So I'm going to put my email. Please formulate your what-if question. And it can be anything that you're curious about. But now the interesting part starts. Who are we going to send it to? I suggest choosing family member. Family members are always safe. Might be a colleague. It might be your boss. It might be somebody in your team. It might be somebody you haven't talked to for a while. Somebody you want to share a provocation with. So choose someone that you want to send that email to. And hit send. Thanks for joining in that quick experiment. Let's see how that person responds in the next minutes, hours, or even days. What you just demonstrated was courage, because you started with asking a question to someone, a provocation, and you demonstrated openness, an open mindset that wants to actually share ideas, share questions with each other. And that is very important if we talk about innovation. My favorite event at Google happens every Friday, so today. It's called TGIF. Think Google, it's Friday. It started with Larry Page and Sergey Brin getting together every Friday to share a quick update with the organization and then answer questions. It's still happening today with our CEO Sundar Pichai, and everybody in the company can join to ask a question. So what you just practiced is something we do every week, probably every day. Asking each other questions that we want to think about. We're not expecting the answer all the time, but having that courage to start with a question, because for me, the best leaders are the leaders who lead with questions, not with answers or ideas. And let's see who responds to your question. Hopefully we see some fellow innovators that respond with these two magic words, yes and. That combination of those two words is something very foreign for us. Because usually we use a different word. Yes, but. We love the buts. We love finding arguments why something would not work, why this is not a good question to explore, why we should not waste time on such an idea, why we've tried it in the past and it didn't work. But if you change that one word, that but, to an end, you're going to see what magically actually will start happening. You see that people are opening up because they are now actually involved. And you start adding ideas to each other. And those two magic words spark optimism that actually fuel innovation. But what happens next if we actually build on each other's ideas and we think this is a great big idea we want to explore? The only way to do it is through experimentation, trying things out. And the path to success is actually paved with experiments. Trying things out, having that courage to try something new, something different, is something we all learned in the pandemic. We were at a peak of experimentation. Everybody experimented with his home or her home office. Everybody experimented with how we actually educate our children. We shopped online for most of our things, and our favorite restaurants mostly just offered food to go. Teachers, leaders, students, team members, everybody experimented. And the beautiful thing is, with every experiment, you learn something from failure or from success. But experimentation is not easy. But what we've learned at Google through a research study over 2 years, asking 280 teams to understand what's the difference between an innovative team and a not so innovative team, we learned that it's not that you put your A players, the best people in a team, and then you have superstar results. It's not the case. What we learned is that it's important that people experience psychologically safe environment. They need to feel comfortable to try something new, and if it fails, it doesn't matter. You share what you've learned, and you move on. So having teams that are inclusive, that are diverse, where everyone has a voice, are leading to the most innovative solutions moving forward. But how can you encourage people to take a risk? We can learn from nature. When I was sailing around Patagonia on a ship called the Entrepreneur Ship, teaching students prototyping and experimentation, I watched a couple of penguins and was fascinated to learn that when you see penguins, a colony of penguins, there's always one penguin that jumps first into the cold water. Let's call it the courageous penguin. Because that penguin has a 50% chance to find food or being eaten. The rest of the penguin colony watches very carefully if that penguin comes back up again. And in our organizations, we have those courageous penguins that always try something new, a new process, a new technology, a new idea, and sometimes they fail. And sometimes they're successful. But if no one jumps from that ice shelf, and in our organizations, if no one tries something new, you all know what's going to happen. Everybody dies. An organization will vanish, will disappear. So does the penguin colony. They don't find any food or someone who jumps first into the water. So I introduced the Penguin Award in our organization. I hand it over to the person that tries something new, not knowing if it's going to be successful or not successful, but rewarding in the first place someone who takes a risk. because we all can learn from taking risks. One of the most important mindsets for me at the moment is empathy. Trying to put yourself into someone else's shoes, to view the world from a different perspective and look at problem from multiple perspectives is something where everybody can benefit from. You as a parent, a team leader, a politician, a team member, a teacher or a student, if you shift your perspective and see the other point of view, you can empathize with that person to come up with better solutions moving forward. And we see that happening all the time at Google. When our team members empathize with their clients, with other people, like in our team, in the accessibility team, where we worked with blind and deaf people to really understand how they use technology. To then build products like the Google Assistant that actually uses speech-to-text recognition that now everybody can use around the world, not just blind or deaf people, but those products are accessible and helpful to everyone now. So empathy helps you to be a better teacher, a better parent, a better partner, a better politician, and a better leader eventually. So try it out. Try to live someone else's life just for a moment. Or try to shift your perspective to see something new. With all of those mindsets, those dimensions of these mindsets, we can start practicing more optimism, asking bigger questions, show openness to invite others to join. Maybe answer one more time yes and instead of yes but. Starting to experiment to start learning. And maybe rewarding these people who jump first into the cold water and take a risk. Being inclusive all the way long and have empathy for other people as well. It's times like these we are living in that probably are the most difficult. But they also help us to actually move forward even stronger, even better, to create a better future for everyone moving forward. Thanks for experimenting. Thanks for demonstrating an innovation mindset. See you in the future. Thank you.